today on the Frontline Health Podcast.
I think there are a lot of things, and we've addressed a lot of them, which is making sure that they're eating the right things, they're getting enough sleep, they're doing all the things we've talked about. But then I think you have to add in the spiritual side and give them opportunity to really understand that there are things in life that are greater than us. There are things in life that happen outside of us that we can't control, but there is one thing that is in control. And if we have a proper understanding of who's in control of this world, who's in control of our life, and that it is based on God and what He's done, then I think a lot of those fears and anxieties that are there are taken away. Because as kids, there are going to be lots of fears, but we've got to turn them to the one thing that can truly protect them, the one thing that can overcome anything in this world. And if we have a true understanding of that, I think that's where their greatest peace can come from and their least amount of anxiety. So trying to point them in that direction is key.
Welcome back to another episode of the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion Health, where we share health news, tips, and insights to help you take ownership of your health. I'm your host, Evan Patrick, joined as always by Troy Duell, our founder and CEO at Centurion Health. Troy, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great, just a little toasty.
It is warm, but it is also back to school time, which is crazy because it does feel like it just started, at least summer. And when you're in the middle of this heat, it's hard to believe that school is starting up around the country right now.
I know it. Whether you got kids in school or not, this time of year just kind of resets the rhythms for a lot of families. Today, we're diving into some of the most important health tips to help parents, kids, and even teachers transition smoothly into the new school year. Strong immune systems, better focus, fewer sick days, and hopefully less stress for everyone all around. So let's start with what's on every parent's mind, keeping their kids from getting sick the first week back to school. Schools are a germ hotspot. Kids are indoors, they're sharing supplies, and they're sneezing without warning.
That is absolutely right. I mean, we see all the time the number of people getting sick every single year goes up exponentially once school starts. And some of the statistics show us that school-age kids get about 6 to 10 colds per year, which is about one every month during the school year, which is no surprise because we certainly know that kids are a great incubation place, or schools are a great incubation place for all these germs that they're getting every single year, and they're getting introduced to them.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people with kids out there have horror stories where one kid gets sick, they bring a virus home, everyone in the house gets taken down. They're having to take care of the kids while they're sick, and it is just a disaster all around. So, what can we tell people who are looking to avoid a situation like this, that they can do to prepare their immune systems now before that wave of sniffles starts?
Yeah, I think going back to the adage of Benjamin Franklin, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That is never so true or never more true than when you're talking about immune health. And it all starts with teaching them good hygiene, but beyond good hygiene, which we should all know, wash your hands, make sure you're not sharing drinks, sharing toys, whatever it may be. But beyond that, we can do things to really help ensure our kids and ourselves have the best chance possible when we get introduced to a new viral infection or bacterial infection. That starts with making sure you're staying well hydrated, making sure you're getting enough sleep, and making sure that you're eating the right things. And when we talk about sleep or when we talk about nutrition in particular, we want to talk about making sure that your vitamin D levels start to or stay high. We know that during the summer, you're probably getting more time outside. You're getting plenty of vitamin D because a lot of people go swimming. They're at the beach, they're at the lake. So you're getting your vitamin D levels up. But once they start back to school, a lot of times you're no longer spending as much time outside and you're stuck indoors. So what are you doing to supplement that area? Vitamin C, zinc, and quercetin we know are also big parts of the immune response because zinc helps fight off any infection. Quercetin has some antiviral properties, and vitamin C, we've always been told as kids, since we were kids, to drink your orange juice and make sure you're getting plenty of oranges and other things to get your vitamin C level. And then, kind of the final thing that I'll touch on is just the gut. We know that about 70% of the immune system is really in the gut because it's the first place that a lot of these bacterial infections and viral infections start because we get it when we inhale things or when we swallow things. So we've got to be sure that we're playing or that we're having great gut health and limiting our sugar in particular because sugar has been known to suppress that immune function. And we know that a lot of bacterial and viral infections can feed off of that. So we need to make sure that we're giving kids the right start by giving them a good breakfast and giving them the right supplementation, best supplementation possible to get them going.
So you mentioned some really great specific ingredients there that can help you kind of fight off viruses and boost your immunity. Those specific ingredients, we actually, for your convenience, have a product called Defender Immunity Boost. It's got vitamin C, D, zinc, copper, and quercetin all into one. So it's an easy daily habit that gives immune systems a fighting chance. That's a pro tip. If you're a parent out there and you're looking for something, Defender Immunity Boost is your go-to. And another pro tip from our COO here at Centurion Health, his family makes Defender smoothies for their kids. So basically, for little kids, they might have a hard time swallowing a pill. So what they do is they'll actually pop open one of these capsules that has all of these vitamins and ingredients in it, and they'll mix it in to a delicious smoothie. So their kids really wouldn't even know that they were taking any type of medicine or vitamins. So that's a pro tip for the parents out there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to be cautious about is if you're taking zinc, whether it's in Defender or any other product, or you're taking zinc by itself, is be sure that you're taking zinc on a full stomach or with food because zinc can cause all kinds of nausea. And if you're getting nauseous when you take it, you're going to end up not taking it again and really miss out on the benefits that zinc could bring. So be sure that you're taking that with food so you can avoid that because that's miserable.
Absolutely. So let's talk about sleep, because this might be one of the biggest health challenges for kids and their parents during this transition. You know, parents have been, or children, on the other hand, have been staying up later. They've been out of their normal routines, and it's tough for them to go back to that school routine.
Yeah, and we all know that sleep is a crucial part of our immune health because our body needs that time to recharge. It needs that time to really have some downtime so it can go out and take on any viral or bacterial infection it takes on. But the CDC, specifically when you're talking about sleep, recommends that kids between the ages of 6 and 12 get 9 to 12 hours a night, which seems like a lot, and it really is. But we oftentimes don't allow them to get that. And they may be at practice, they may be at school functions, and then they still have to get up early the next morning. So, really work hard at coming up with a routine that you can get your kids 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And for teens, they're supposed to get 8 to 10 hours because there's a lot going on in a teenage body of hormones and growth and everything else. So, they need to have extra sleep, especially when they're going through that growth spurt, because their immune system can be even more at risk because their body's working so hard just to keep up and to grow. So make sure they're getting all the sleep they need.
Yeah, and another big thing with sleep is consistency. I know
Mm.
inconsistent sleep affects a lot of different things like immune strength, attention span, emotional regulation, big one for the parents of teenagers out there. Now is the time to start winding back bedtime in 15-minute increments if you haven't started school yet. And if you have, now is the time to get into that routine of getting the appropriate amount of sleep for your children.
Yeah, and I think we've all been there and how frustrated we got as kids when our parents were like, it's time for bed, but it was still light outside sometimes, and you felt like you had plenty of time that you wanted to go play, but you had to start winding it back knowing that school was coming and try to get yourself in a regular routine. And I think that 15-minute increment piece is really good because you're not taking away the whole time and it's kind of easing them into it. So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, and I really don't know how parents do it out here in Texas where the sun sets around 9 p.m., 9:30, and you're having to put your kid to bed when it is actually bright outside.
Yes,
But I guess that they find a way to do it.
that's right.
Another big topic this time of year is focus and attention. For kids with ADHD or those who just struggle to sit still after a summer of activity, the classroom can feel like a cage. Not to mention, many kids who are being treated for ADHD with stimulants don't take their medication during the summer, so they're having to get back on those meds and get that feeling of being drained and losing their appetite and all of the side effects that come along with that. And a lot of them have a lot of pushback to their parents who want them to get back on those meds, and the parents are hesitant to give those things to their kids anyways.
Yeah, and I think there is certainly a lot there. And when you're talking about change and transition, if it's a kid who's suffering from ADHD anyway, that makes it that much harder. But the truth is, if you get them on a routine and they start that routine earlier and you can push them towards that, they're going to be better off as a whole because they're not having to think about as many things because they're having so many other pieces in there, like new teachers, new kids in the classroom with you again, and really just kind of going over, hey, this is what we did all summer long, and you're having to get back to structure. But
Mhm.
structure is the best thing those kids could
Mhm.
have with ADHD, which is a big, big piece of it.
Yeah, and it's not a small number of kids who are dealing with this. It's estimated that 1 in 10 children in the US has been diagnosed with ADHD, and we know that there are many more than that who show signs of inattention, impulsivity, or hyperactivity.
Yeah, and I think this really plays in well with immune health too, because we need to remember that it doesn't have to necessarily mean going to a prescription medication to help them with their focus and really support them. A lot of it really relies on our diet, making sure sleep is key, and also having those nutrients. The same things that go into immune health really go into focus as well. But there are a few different nutrients that you want to make sure that you're getting, like omega 3s, magnesium, making sure you're getting your methylated B vitamins. And then there are other things that they call adaptogens out there, like rhodiola, that can play a pretty big role in just helping you with your focus and supporting focus for your kids as they get back to a routine.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, a lot of people really underestimate the importance of nutrition for their kids when it comes to their focus. I just an observation that I made when I was teaching was a lot of the kids who had ADHD would be coming into my class with Pop Tarts. They would be coming into my class with Monster energy drinks or Bang energy drinks, things with synthetic caffeine, things with a lot of sugar, and that's the nutrition that they're getting to start their day. And it's like, it's no wonder this kid can't sit still or concentrate. If I had eaten that for breakfast, I would be the exact same way. So I think people really underestimate the importance of good nutrition, like some of those nutrients that you mentioned a second ago. Do you want to talk a little bit about Purelor AD and how we've created a product to kind of address some of the underlying nutrient deficiencies that can contribute to ADHD?
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of studies out there that point to kids with ADHD have an issue with their methylation cycle. So, methylation cycle is really the support piece or the piece that we have to support within the body with our nutrients. And that starts with making sure that you're getting methylated B vitamins. So, that would be methylfolate, methylcobalamin, adenosylcobalamin, having pyridoxal 5 phosphate, which is pyridoxine, but it's in the broken down bioavailable form. So you're looking to make sure that whatever you're taking is bioavailable. And then you've got things like phospholipids that really help with our brain cellular structure and make sure that your brain is working and functioning the best way possible. And it's giving those cells enough nutrients and strength to overcome anything that may come against it. And then the final thing is you want to make sure that there are other nutrients in there like NADH, NAC. They help kind of flush the toxins, build up antioxidant levels. And then there are studies that show head to head with even methylphenidate, one of the most popular ADHD meds, a thing like saffron has performed equally well to methylphenidate in studies, which is really kind of interesting to think that these nutrients can perform as well as some of the prescription products that are out there. So you want to make sure that they're getting the exact nutrients, the exact amounts, and really staying as healthy as possible. And then throwing in those things like making sure they're not spending all day or several hours on their phones or computers or playing video games and becoming overstimulated, and really work on extending their focus by maybe reading a book, maybe playing a game that doesn't have all these visual interactions with it, and really starting to create more and more structure with them, whether that's their playtime or even just throughout the day of we're going to eat at this time, we're going to go to bed at this time. And the more structure seems to really help those kids thrive who have ADHD, along with those feeding the body the right nutrients that we all need.
Oh, those are some fantastic insights. And we're talking about this as it relates to attention and ADHD, but also as you were saying that, as you were talking about, nutrition and those lifestyle decisions like getting away from screens, and reading and those types of things, thinking about the mood regulation that a lot of kids with ADHD and a lot of kids in general are struggling with now, and how some of those things apply to that as well. You mentioned saffron, and I know that saffron, there have been studies where it has been put head to head against certain mild antidepressants, or sorry, not
Mhm.
antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and it has actually performed just as well. And so, and I know certainly the same thing. I noticed this from parenting myself. Sometimes I have to make myself read a book rather than watching TV late at night, and it just calms me down, and I get that low stimulation, and it's just really good for me, not just from an attention span perspective, but from mood regulation and just kind of my overall happiness. Um,
Absolutely. Which is hard to do. You've got to be very disciplined to start taking some of those things into effect. And it's even harder, I think, as a parent because it's hard enough trying to discipline yourself, but then you're trying to discipline another individual who has their own personalities as well. So it is a challenge, but it's a challenge worth taking on for sure.
Going back to Pure Lore AD for a moment, we love hearing how our customers have been impacted by our products. I wanted to share a review that we received from Sarah W. about Pure Lore AD. Sarah W. says, as a nursing student who studies almost 24 hours of the day, this product, that's a lot of studying for one.
That
This
is.
product has been just what I needed. I've been using Pure Lore for 3 weeks now, and I can confidently say it's been a game changer for my productivity and cognitive abilities. As someone who struggles with maintaining focus and retaining information, I've been pleasantly surprised by the transformative effects of this supplement. Tasks that once seemed daunting now feel more manageable, and I'm able to maintain my concentration with far less effort. Thank you, Sarah, for the wonderful review. We're so happy Pure Lore AD is helping you with your studies. And for those listening, if you're a student or you know a student, you're the parent of a student who could benefit from some extra support, you can purchase Pure Lore AD from our website, www.centurion.health. So let's pivot now to a practical but overlooked part of the day. We've already talked about it a little bit, what kids are eating. We talked about the supplementation side of this, but what about the foods that they're eating?
Yeah, I think that is the base for everything we do. If you're not eating right, supplementation can certainly help, but you're not going to perform at the highest level possible. And your body's not going to perform at the highest level possible because we know that nutrition really does affect our mood. It affects our behavior, our focus, and even our immune health. And with so many options out there and so many picky eaters and not a lot of time for us to do things, it is very, very difficult for us to get some nutritious meals, even for ourselves. But even more so, it's harder as a parent to do that for our kids because we're wanting to grab something that's easy. And sometimes easy may not be the best thing for us, but trying to come up with a few tips that I think you've got that sounded really good when we talked about them.
Yeah, so a few quick tips include a protein in every lunch. For example, turkey roll-ups, Greek yogurt, hard-boiled eggs. Here in America, if it doesn't have a protein in it, it's not a meal. I mean, that's the way that I see it, anyways. Um, but there are definitely practical applications for your attention span with that. Don't shy away from healthy fats like nut butters or avocado. These are essential for your brain health. I'm glad that we're getting away from the myth that fats are not good for you. They're actually really good for your brain, the proper kinds. And keep sugar to a minimum, even in snacks. Try dried fruit instead of candy or water instead of juice boxes.
Absolutely. And I think those are some great tips. And always remembering that a little protein, a little fat, a little fiber goes a long ways in making sure that we're staying healthy. And don't forget also to really pay attention to your labels because some of those quote unquote healthy snacks that are out there have lots of seed oils, lots of added sugars. And we've got to be very, very careful of the things that we're doing because if it's prepackaged, there's a strong likelihood that it may have some of those things that we need to avoid, and especially our kids need to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, our kids deserve real fuel, not just empty calories like they so often get. It's absolutely insane to me what we feed our kids sometimes. I mean, I love Lunchables as much as the next guy, but crackers, ultra processed ham, and a little piece of cheese and a piece of candy. I mean, that's just almost like a recipe for trouble for anyone focusing with that on their stomach. Most school lunches aren't much better. I remember even my senior year of high school, one of my best friends would eat a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. This was his lunch every day that he got from the school cafeteria. Bowl of Cheerios, chocolate milk, and an ice cream sandwich every single day. And he was sick all the time. So just imagine that for a second. So there are other kids out there who do that. And even the school lunches, when you're eating them properly, the way that they're intended, are not the healthiest options out there. So have you and your wife tried anything for your kids that has helped them eat healthier during school, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, we always try to have some type of fruit that will help with their meal. We always have to have some type of protein, but the carbohydrates is always a difficult one to try to limit those and make sure that they're full, but at the same time that they want to eat it. And one of the things that I'm sure if you're a parent out there, you probably understand you can make the healthiest lunch and snack for them possible, but they will see other kids there, and there is this propensity to trade a lot of things that go on. So I heard all kinds of trade stories when we'd send pickles and apples and oranges and other things that were healthy. They'd end up trading with other kids and maybe get some of those not so healthy things because they wanted them because they taste good. But for the most part, if you can start training them early and getting them on those healthy snacks, they'll start to crave some of the things like pickles and apples and oranges, and your body begins to crave what it really needs. And if you give it enough time and just give them water, don't give them any drinks outside of water, then that's a good start because the drinks are really where most people go wrong when they're talking about school lunches or anything else.
Mhm. Yeah, I know for me through the years, one of the biggest challenges has been trying to find like a good on-the-go breakfast. More recently, I have been cooking my breakfast, but a lot of times people have a hard time getting out the door. There's some really good things you could do there. I've done mason jars with Greek yogurt, blueberries, granola. That's been a really good go-to for me. Egg sandwiches and a bagel. I mean, there's all kind of options there for a high protein, low sugar nutritious, protein packed, and fat packed with the right kind of fat breakfasts out there that are good for people on the go.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, we need to mention the mental health side of going back to school, which we know is a huge issue for kids today. The drama that comes with going back to school can stir up a lot of things. Troy, how have you helped your kids navigate their mental health in school years, and what are you planning to do to help them navigate it this school year?
I mean, I think there are a lot of things, and we've addressed a lot of them, which is making sure that they're eating the right things, they're getting enough sleep, they're doing all the things we've talked about. But then I think you have to add in the spiritual side and give them opportunity to really understand that there are things in life that are greater than us. There are things in life that happen outside of us that we can't control, but there is one thing that is in control. And if we have a proper understanding of who's in control of this world, who's in control of our life, and that it is based on God and what He's done, then I think a lot of those fears and anxieties that are there are taken away. Because as kids, there are going to be lots of fears, but we've got to turn them to the one thing that can truly protect them, the one thing that can overcome anything in this world. And if we have a true understanding of that, I think that's where their greatest peace can come from and their least amount of anxiety. So trying to point them in that direction is key. And then making sure that they're not getting in that comparison world, because we know that as teenage kids are around and social media is around, there's a comparison piece that goes on. So social media brings about that comparison. So you want to limit that as much as possible and really try to get them outside, get them active, and keep them doing things that are going to keep them healthy from a fitness standpoint and a health standpoint by eating the right things.
It's fantastic advice. One thing I'll add is to take care of yourself. I'm not a parent, but I have worked with kids and I've always heard that more is caught than taught. Model being at peace yourself, growing spiritually, eating well, and exercising. When I coached high school cross country, I was always amazed at how much more motivated our athletes were when we as coaches would actually go on runs or do workouts with them. It's the idea of leading by example. It's one of those things you hear all the time, but it's time tested and it works.
So true. So true.
There's a lot to think about this time of year, but it's also a great opportunity to reset some healthy habits as we've talked about today.
That is so true. And we know, based on everything we've talked about, that it seems daunting, but just start taking those small steps. Like they always say, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I think that's the same way with this. And just start planning some things out and try to work towards a healthier school year for you and your kids.
We'll include links in the show notes to some of the products we've mentioned, like Defender Immunity Boost and Pure Lore AD, along with more back to school health tips.
And if you felt like this episode helped you or somebody else might be able to be helped from it, then share it with a friend or leave us a review. And excited to have you here and hopefully help you guys take ownership of your health.
Thanks for tuning in to the Frontline Health podcast by Centurion Health. Until next time, go out and take ownership of your health because you are your best health advocate. If you enjoyed what you heard today on the podcast, please consider leaving us a review. We would love to hear your feedback and connect with you further. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube. And for safe, effective, and affordable health and wellness products made in the USA, visit www.centurion.health. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.